Hi everyone, welcome back to Beef Reacts, and today we're gonna be watching another death battle. It's gonna be Deku vs. Asta, My Hero Academia vs. Black Clover. Two shows that I like a lot. Do I like one more than the other? Not really. They both are really good for different purposes. Now, before we get into this episode, I'm gonna give my thoughts straight up. Because for once I actually know both characters decently well. Deku doesn't use magic, and Asta's swords are anti-magic swords, so we're going to be putting them in the same world. Whenever Deku uses one of the smashes, it'll break one of his hands, unless he goes full cowling, which still has a time limit in a way. I think this is ultimately going to come down to endurance. Unless they somehow mention some bullshit with light speed, like they always fucking do, I think it's going to come down to endurance. Besides that, this, not my video. Their video is sponsored by Mint Mobile and BetterHelp, weirdly enough. I am not a fan of BetterHelp.
Battle is sponsored
Nothing
by
against
Mint
them,
Mobile
just their
and
commercials are
BetterHelp.
not good.
Deku, My Hero Academia's super student, straight out of UA High.
Asta, the anti-magic
Super student? Sorry, I wouldn't call him a super student.
ass kicker from Black Clover.
Though you may be born bereft of the same gifts as your peers, there is nothing stopping you from achieving your dreams.
As long as you're a fictional character in a fantasy world.
Amen.
As long as you've got your friends by your side, you'll pack a hell of a punch. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
I think Asta. I don't know. They're gonna give it to Deku because it's a more popular fandom, and I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm part of the fandom. But it should be Asta. I'm thinking, unless they come out with some bullshit.
Izuku Midoriya wanted only one thing from life: to be a beacon of hope, just like his idol, the #1 ranked superhero in Japan, All Might.
Too bad he was born a freak with no powers.
Loser.
You heard right. This is like a reverse X-Men thing where 80% of the population gets rad superpowers, or quirks as they're called, while the remaining
Dope superpowers? Homie, in the first episode, we see why half the fucking people can't be...
they're stuck
Can't
in
be
basic
heroes.
bitches. Or as his spiky-haired bully Bakugo called him, Deku.
That's a pun on the Japanese word dekunobu, meaning good for nothing.
Persevering despite his basic bitchedness, Midoriya got the chance to prove his quirkless heroic mettle against this giant sludge monster. Much to the surprise
Biggest All Might fan ever. He's a blood type
of one particular
5'5".
almighty onlooker.
His body secretly decaying from a horrific injury, All Might needed to find the one who would inherit his all-powerful quirk.
And All Might didn't want just anybody. The hero world was filled with glory seekers in it for fame and money. All Might wanted someone whose body moved on its own to save someone.
He saw exactly that in young Midoriya, and gave him one of the most powerful quirks in the world, one for all.
That was the problem. Even after bulking up from lad to Chad, the recoil from even one punch would shatter all the bones in his arm. So he trained to be able to handle his gift at the superhero school of his dreams, UA High.
They're giving like a really watered down version of about like a season and a half here.
And that's when he decided to own the name used as a cudgel against him for so many years. Turns out, Deku can also be an abbreviation for Dekiru, someone who can do anything.
Exactly
Wow,
the opposite
that
of
is-
Dekunobu.
I did not know that, and that's fucking awesome.
One for All allows Deku to release...
Sorry. I paused way too much, I know. One for All, Fanjin, Danger Sense, Black Whip, Smokescreen, Float, Gear Shift, Costume Gamma. Okay, so they're using the most recent... Well, I don't want to say the most recent, but they're using Black Whip. Okay. He's getting the quirks. Yeah, he's fucking winning.
Absolutely absurd amounts of strength from different parts of his body, with super moves named after US cities and states.
Deku still can't access all of his power safely though. Using 100% will quickly destroy his body, which is why he learned to distribute his strength evenly across his body, a technique known as full cowling. This lets him increase his speed and durability as well, making him more all-rounded, and shifting focus to his own interpretation of One For All inspired by his pal Ida, shoot style.
Where he pulls out a Glock and blows your brains out.
Love it.
Okay, not really, but in keeping with One For All's rabbit theme, he trades All Might's signature punches for kicks. My version's better. You ever seen Rabbit vs. Gun? I have, and I know how it plays out.
Considering the much
I fucking love boomstick.
higher muscle mass of a human's legs, shoot style allowed Deku to output even more power while giving his arms a break. A break from a break.
And despite being a classic melee
I thought it was that if he broke his arms again, they wouldn't be re-healed. There is no re-healing a fucking 40-time broken arm.
build, Deku can fight at range by punching powerful gusts of air and even precisely aim them with specially designed gloves.
Deku has an encyclopedic knowledge of quirks and is always analyzing their strengths and weaknesses mid-battle, even if he does sound a little weird.
Despite only barely getting accepted in the first place, Deku quickly became one of Class 1A's most dependable fighters. Because, yeah, somehow these students are constantly getting drafted into literal wars against murderous supervillains.
Midoriya's
Yeah.
successes in battle against ruthless criminals like Stain, Muscular, and Overhaul came much to his old bully's chagrin. Where Bakugo was a child prodigy, he now found himself overshadowed by his hard-working rival, and the two would use their mutual respect and animosity to motivate each other to get stronger.
Classic frenemies. They're only solving their problems by pounding the living tar out of each other.
I want a rival. You know, my friends know this just factually. I just want a rival in life. I want somebody I can look at who pushes me to do better, and I push them to do better. I just want one. I'm jealous that anime characters just get them from the fucking get-go. Like, I feel like I just want a rival. I want to earn that status.
Luckily for him, Deku soon learned that living tar pounding wasn't the only thing he could do. Turns out, One For All did not originate with All Might. It had been passed down 8 times until it arrived at Deku, with each inheritance also carrying the previous user's natural quirk as well.
Like Black Whip, which lets him manifest crazy long and strong energy tendrils to tie enemies up and swing around the city, or shoot one out of his mouth, just like our girl Fruppy.
You mean Spider-Man? I love how Deku's just Spider-Man, but if Spider-Man had more powers.
And Danger Sense, which gives him a minor reactive precognition.
AKA, he's Spider-Man.
Thank
Not
you!
even a reach. The mangaka is like the biggest Spidey fan ever.
He can also produce a smoke screen to mask his presence, float in midair, or store kinetic energy over time with Fa Jin.
Like that. By
God, it's
storing
so
up
good.
enough, he can even...
So he fought all of Class 1A at the same time, beat down Chizuka faster than he could heal, routinely broke his own bones to win fights, obliterated a cliffside with 100%, defied the future Night Eye foresaw, and survived a nut shot from Koda, and defeated Bakugo, Stain, Muscular, and Overhaul. That's his feats so far. So they didn't go into any insane fucking feats of strength. I think I keep changing. It's like, it should be an endurance battle between these two, but I'm getting the feeling it's not going to be.
match All Might's max power without any recoil to boot. Strong enough to change the weather and create city block-sized tornadoes with a single punch.
And he's even stronger with his newest quirk, Gear Shift, which allows him to increase the speed of an object anytime he touches it. In conjunction with the power of All for One, he can use this to warp reality itself. Deku can go toe-to-toe with arch-villains like Shigaraki, who's fast enough to react to and catch laser beams with his bare hands.
But nothing could prepare him for All Might's archenemy, the
Deku has stated that he is physically on par with All Might and would scale to any feat he or the previous One for All users have accomplished.
shadowy leader of the League of Villains, All for One.
All Might only ever showed his young pupil kindness and support, but that couldn't change the absolutely crushing pressure Deku felt at every moment.
Even classically trained dickhead Bakugo came to help his teammate out when he needed it. Like when they teamed up to share One for All and punch an island-sized hole in the clouds 24 miles high.
Is that canon? That should. Are movies canon? I guess they're
Just
canon.
goes to
God, I want him and the blonde chick to
show that even One for All isn't a one-man army. Deku's true strength comes from his teamwork between himself and his friends.
And with their help, Deku will surely become that beacon of hope he dreamt about as a child.
One hero for all mankind.
Why do I care so much what people think about me? I think I'm gay.
I know this isn't the time. I hate this ad. We watched this ad in a different video, but I will watch this ad because I want everyone to know this is the worst fucking way. Like, it's so insulting to the LGBT community. Why? And yes, I will give Rooster Teeth the money. I do not give a fuck.
Where can I go to, talk, I guess? Specifically about queer stuff.
Here's a popular recipe for seared duck.
Why is that an ad? Like, who does that to somebody? I just hate BetterHelp
Magic!
so much.
You know it, you love it, and in the world of Black Clover, it doesn't come from a box you bought at a tacky West Hollywood costume shop. Everyone's got it.
Mana is the source of all magic, a supernatural energy found in the air and in living beings. Except living beings whose names are Asta.
Not only was the young Asta an orphan,
So he's a year older than Deku. He's 4 inches shorter than Deku. Born without anything awesome. He's born a child of magic absorbing, member of the Black Bulls and Royal Knights. Aspires to be the Wizard King. Catchphrase, ah.
abandoned by his mother at a church as a baby, he was born with a mutation that prevents him from having any mana to speak of. Well, neither do I, and you don't hear me crying about it.
Yes, you do, all of the time. But Asta had a
Same.
dream. Despite his lack of magic, he and his best friend Yuno promised each other one of them would rise to the throne of the greatest military position in the land, the Wizard King. Wizard King? Really, guys? Sometimes they call it Magic Emperor, but we all know what they mean.
So he dedicated himself to getting swole as all hell in a
Facts.
world of
I will say the time skip Asta is so fucking bulky. Like, he's a himbo, dog.
nerds. He would be its lone jock god, shoving every last wizard into a locker until they crowned him king.
But huge, frightening pectorals on a tiny, screaming goblin child weren't enough on its own. He needed something powerful enough to shut down his opponent's magic.
He needed the 5-leaf clover grimoire.
Essentially a book of spells, a grimoire will choose its user and float beside their wielder at all times.
And Asta was lucky enough to receive the Uno reverse card of grimoires. The 5-leaf clover can harness the power of anti-magic, which will literally nullify the effects of other magic spells.
But this doesn't matter because Deku doesn't use fucking magic. Unless what they're gonna do is somehow say Black Whip is energy and energy is somehow mana, which, if they're gonna do that, then I guess his arsenal works, but like...
Almost like wizard kryptonite. Let the locker stuffing commence. Haha, get nerds.
It wasn't long before Asta was accepted into one of the 9 squads of Clover Kingdom's Magic Knights, the Black Bulls, filled with lazy drunkards, antisocial otakus, and literal sociopaths.
My
Love
kind
them.
of people. Mostly. But much like with Asta, you shouldn't judge a grimoire by its cover. And soon they were all working together and kicking ass like a family should.
Asta harnesses the power of anti-magic by summoning swords imbued with it from the grimoire. Normally, these swords would quickly drain the mana from anyone foolish enough to wield them, but Asta does not have any mana, turning his greatest weakness into a one-of-a-kind strength.
He's got his classic Demon Slayer.
So, he's got the Demon Slayer, Demon Dweller, Demon Destroyer, and Demon Slasher. He can sense Ki, which he learned from Yam. Leeb, Anti-Magic, Black Asta, Body Sacrifice, and Unite, which is when he goes in with the devil. Now, before y'all come at me in the comments being like, I'm a fanboy of Black Clover, I'm a fanboy of X, I'm a fanboy of whatever. I'm not a fanboy of either. I love both shows equally. I think the first 3 episodes of My Hero Academia are the weakest because I fucking can't stand Deku for the first 3 episodes. He's a little bitch. And then Black Clover, I think the buy-in is when they're fighting in the water basin, and like it's like one moment goes awry and it's all fucky. But like that being said, it's just a hard like this is actually a really good death battle if they like aren't catering to a fan base, and my fear is that they're going to be catering to a fan base, and probably the more vocal one. And considering if I walk into a hot topic, I don't see any of fucking Black Clover merch literally anywhere because, hey guys, I don't know if you know this, but it just isn't there. You walk into an FYE, you walk into a fucking box lunch, like, there isn't Black Clover shit. You know what there is a fuck ton of? My Hero Academia shit. So I'm willing to bet that Deku is going to win because of that specific thing. And I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm not even saying that Deku doesn't deserve the dub. I'm saying that, like, my fear is that they let that kind of get in the way here.
An enormous greatsword which cuts through spells with its edge and deflects them with its flat. Or the Demon Dweller, which can also absorb and copy magic, then toss it right back to sender.
I think my personal favorite is the more complex Demon Destroyer, which severs the relationship between a spell's cause and effect, countering the effects of its magic. This could result in anything from healing a village that was inflicted with poison to preventing reincarnation.
Yeah, okay, some of these can get a little heady. I personally prefer keeping it simple, like using anti-magic telekinesis to surf on your sword through the sky.
It's worth noting that these swords are made specifically for countering magical attacks and sources of mana. The swords will act as though blunted when striking non-magical foes, more akin to giant clubs than actual blades. Not entirely inconsistent with real-life greatswords.
But none of that's even close to as cool as his deadliest sword, the Demon Slasher, a katana as black as the pits of hell and twice as badass.
This one actually does cut like a sword, but it's complicated. It lets Asta actually select what he does and does not want to cut, only affecting his target while leaving anything else unharmed.
Okay, at this point, isn't that just magic?
Magic with a loophole.
And he's studied the blade long enough to become a master swordsman to boot. Not in the real life sense, in the anime sense.
He can spin himself like a tornado to deflect magic spells, thrust forward at top speed like a charging bull, launch a barrage of anti-magic projectiles, and even channel anti-magic into his swords to vastly increase their size.
Well, while he may be no good with mana,
When he became dope with anti-magic, that was pretty fucking awesome. I'm not gonna cap with you guys. That was kind of awesome. I'm so torn up between this battle right now. Like, I don't know who's gonna win because they're not throwing out some bullshit numbers like 1,000 times the speed of light or
he
something
has
like
learned
that.
to detect ki, because of course.
The life force existing in all things. Asta can detect hidden opponents and even predict their movements ahead of time, as long as he's fast enough to react.
With such crazy powers, Asta was taking on threats like the Eye of the Midnight Sun, the Devil Zagrid, and the Dark Triad. So many nerds, never enough lockers. Too bad
Amen.
for Asta, though. He had one serious inner demon.
Literally, housed within the Five-Leaf Clover Grimoire was Liba, a demon exiled from hell for completely lacking magical powers, and who just so happened to get adopted by Asta's mother.
Until he got possessed by a different demon and killed her. Vowing vengeance on all demon kind, Liba manifested anti-magic from his hatred as a way to kick their asses. Which gave him and Asta a lot of common ground, despite the whole, mom murder thing.
In fact, the two became
That animation is pretty
A lot
funny.
of common ground, despite the whole, mom murder thing.
In fact, the two became true brothers and formed an unstoppable duo. Liba can actually fully merge with Asta for a massive power boost that lasts up to 5 minutes, at the cost of leaving Asta nearly powerless for the next half hour.
Come on, I want it. Yeah, I'll take it if I get to be strong enough to slice buildings to pieces, obliterate huge chunks of earth,
I think we all have a little bit of boomstick in us, and this is just why it makes sense.
tear the most powerful demons apart. Give me the goddamn book. I'm the book boy, okay?
Even characters earlier in the series like Patoli had magic capable of completely vaporizing the entire Clover Kingdom in a single attack. And demons that Asta has fought since then like Dante and Lucifero are leagues stronger.
Hell, screw all these demon forms and
He beat Libe with only one arm, sliced the ultimate demon in half, destroyed a large landmass gathered by Dante, routinely dodges beams of light, released his allies from elf possession, survived being impaled multiple times, defeated Vermilion, Langris, Zagrid, and Lucifero. Here's the problem: Deku has the feats of All Might and all the previous One for All users, so like yeah, this is great, but like,
Anti-magic powers, Asta's body is so incredibly well trained, he dodged a beam of light while sleeping. As in, he was asleep, and the force of his sneeze pushed his head out of the way of a beam of light. Light speed sneezes, everyone!
And despite his headstrong,
despite being magical, light spells in Black Clover are as fast as natural light. They can be deflected by mirrors, travel in straight lines, and have been studied
and
with that.
irritating personality.
AKA screaming at the top of his lungs as often as possible.
He's a
Asta's an
fucking
intelligent
anime
fighter who has leveraged
protagonist.
his
What do you
skill against far
expect?
more experienced foes.
But he wouldn't be anywhere without the ragtag band of deviants he calls friends.
Love
With
them.
them at his side, there's no way he won't climb the ranks to take the Wizard King's throne. Especially with Yuno pushing them both to get stronger.
Unlike other classic shonen rivalries, this one isn't tainted by antagonism. They truly want what's best for each other, even if they're competing for the same throne.
Yuno's gonna need all the luck he can get, cause even if Asta never gets mana of his...
Yuno literally is the son of an elf, and like the prince of a kingdom. He has been given. He was given everything at birth. That is literally the whole motif. Is that does talent work or hard work work? And because it's, I'm not gonna do this right now.
His own, his true magic is never given up.
And if we're wondering why, for some reason, last time whenever I got copyright struck, it was during the ad read, believe it or not, which is crazy to me. But anyway, unimportant.
All right, the combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a death battle!
I want to see who's winning this bad boy, this bad bitch.
Sword that big? He's gotta be crazy strong. I'm gonna have to rely on more than just my power to take him down.
Yeah.
Just gotta hit him really hard.
That's a good strategy. Okay.
Man, this guy can give even luck a run for his money.
Aren't swords supposed to be sharp?
We'd be dead if they were.
His speed isn't slowed by his sword's weight at all. Gotta hamper his movements and get that book out of his hands. Huh? He found me!
Did he just Zoro 3-sword style that shit? Is that what this meant? Did he just 3-sword style? Can he do that? We're about to get it.
Now it's my turn!
Oh my god, with Black Whip.
Wait! Are you not using magic?
What kind of magic emperor would I be if I can't beat a guy like this? Detroit Smash! Detroit Smash! Detroit Smash!
I don't know what Detroit is, but I've had enough of it.
I don't know what Detroit is. Homie, no one does.
I don't know what Detroit is, but I've had enough of it.
I'm ending this quick!
I just don't see it happening. We've only got it for 5 minutes.
Hit me with all you've got, because I'm never going down!
not going all out anymore.
So he's got to go 100%, break his own bones. Yeah.
I just gotta hit him really hard. You wanted my best? Here it is! 1,000,000,000%! Blood Ultra!
Dodge!
I did it.
I did not expect that. Not at all, dude.
Take that, Detroit.
It's like I want to be mad, but like, it's like I really thought they were gonna give it to Deku. I really did. I gotta hear what they did. I gotta hear their thought process.
Ah, poor Deku. He tried his best, but Asta just shoved him into that great big locker in the sky.
Both Deku and Asta were fairly evenly matched melee fighters without any specific abilities to give one an easy edge over the other. Though, to be fair, the variety of quirks Deku inherited from past users of One For All did make him more versatile and unpredictable.
Plus, quirks are biological mutations, not connected to some supernatural energy source like mana, so Asta's anti-magic powers were basically useless here.
And Deku was generally a smarter and more tactical fighter, but against Asta's incredible might, this time Brawn beat Brains.
Let's crunch some numbers!
Yeah, I gotta
Deku's greatest feat of strength was splitting that enormous cloud formation with Bakugo.
By measuring
Also, side note, the guitar riff in the background is fucking phenomenal.
the size of the island and comparing it to the clouds above, we can determine they dispersed over 63 trillion kilograms of water.
That's the weight of the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Nice.
12,000 of them.
And
Oh my
required an energy
God.
of nearly 80 teratons of TNT per punch.
Let's compare that to Asta. But Toli's spell was going to be strong enough to vaporize a country the size of the Clover Kingdom.
We can use this map from the manga to estimate the size of Clover Kingdom to be about 500 kilometers in diameter, about half the length of Great Britain. Vaporizing a country of that size.
This is the max for both feats using the minimum time frame for Deku's cloud split and vaporization for the Clover Kingdom destruction. More conservative estimates would still result in Asta being stronger.
Would require an energy of over 480 teratons of TNT, over 6 times greater than Deku's punch.
While Asta uses anti-magic, it is
Deku was more tactical, wider array of powers. I like the way that they're doing the newer ones, I guess. He's slower, can't safely access max power. Max power swords are greater than punches and kicks. Physically stronger, faster, better ways to predict movement, more mobile with flight, and anti-magic would not... Yeah, okay.
isn't an automatic counter. It needs to be comparable in strength to the spell it's combating. And Asta's gotten way stronger since.
Asta was also quicker. Sure, scaling to Shigaraki would give Deku roughly light speed reaction time.
But Asta could dodge light in his sleep, and that's his base form, even before transforming with Liba to get way faster.
And since Deku and Asta's precognitive abilities,
All their base form speeds are somewhat comparable. Libe grants Asta a far better speed boost than Gear Shift's 20% increase does for
more or less matched each other, it was only a matter of time before Asta simply overwhelmed him.
Especially since Deku has struggled in the past against faster opponents. Sure, Deku was smarter, but if he literally did...
Asta also scales above Salamander, who according to the Black Clover databook is capable of drying the ocean with a single swing of its claw, a feat worth at least 11.5 pentatons of TNT. Why do they do things based off TNT? That is a weird
have
metric.
enough time to come up with a plan of attack before getting hammered. His brains were wasted.
Deku's tactical brilliance and harem-scarum tenacity definitely gave his opponent a run for his money, but Asta's raw power, blinding speed, and deadlier weaponry spelled the end for All Might's pupil.
Deku gave it his all, and I wish he had won. Hasta la vista.
The winner is Asta.
I really wasn't expecting Asta to get this dub. I'm being so for real here. Now the question is, in fairness, Was it fair? Was it good? Was it any of those things? I'd argue in terms of, like, because in terms of outcomes, who did I want to win? I went in saying that I thought, like, it'd be a battle of endurance, and I assumed that Asta would have more endurance just based on what I know with the show and everything. But, like, I'm very happy that they didn't go the route of, like, whoever has the larger fandom. That makes me, like, very happy. They took that aside. I think Deku still probably could have put up more of a fight. But that, that's just my opinion. And opinions are like a-holes, everyone's got one. So, that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you don't mind, like, comment, subscribe, really helps me out. I post every day. I'll be back tomorrow with some Ruby. All right? Have a good one. Have a great Saturday.